so now we are headed back through Ocean Way.
Studio D.
Studio D?
Uh-huh.
Oh my dear Lord. Okay. Where do we start? Yeah, what do we have in here?
This is an 88R, sort of a custom-built 88R Neve that we have, of which there are not very many around.
No.
And it's a great, as far as ICs go, I think it's the best-sounding IC console that's been made to date. And we do a lot of film mixing too, and it's a very popular film console. There's one at the Sony stage, and there's one over at the Fox stage, and we have one here. And we always have a small amount of outboard gear, as you can see.
Small. Very tiny. If you flip around, you can see the whole wall of gear. And this is so we have IC compressors, limiters, EQs. Anything you're especially fond of in here that the sort of.
Oh, I'm very fond. I'm fan of the original ITI Equalizer, which was George Massenburg's first EQ. Right. Is one of my favorites, and this is like the Sontec Stereo Mastering EQ, but it has all ITI boards. Things like that. Yeah, so things nothing too unusual in here. Obviously, Boltec EQP 183s. I'm very fond of the Langs. It's one of my favorite EQs. It's one of those devices where you can get something for nothing to a degree because it sort of ring modulates, it resonates at certain frequencies, and makes sounds that are very unusual.
This is.
And then, of course, my buddy Billy Putnam's 610 modules. Billy is obviously I grew up with Bill Putnam, and I used to hang out at their house and have dinner with Billy and Jimmy Putnam, and so. The 610 original tube 610 modules, which were actually part of, in my original rooms here, those consoles were installed in these rooms, in the 60s. Yeah. I kind of was always into wheeling and dealing at a young age. I was actually installing kind of hi-fis when I was 13. I was doing hi-fis for people like Les Brown and Bob Hope, and one guy I happened to meet was a guy named Sonny Burke, and he was VP of Reprise Records, and he produced all of Sinatra's albums. Now Sinatra, basically, Reprise Records started in this building. And so Frank, Sammy, Dean, Bing, when he started that label and left Capitol, Frank hated Capitol because they told him what songs he was going to record and how he was going to do it. And Frank didn't like to be told, of course, anything. So he has their offices were upstairs, and Sinatra and Putnam were partners, not partners in the studio, but partners in the real estate. And Bill started United Western Studios,
which is what Ocean Way, the building here,
which is where we are right now, right? The original Studio A and the original Studio B, and Studio A and so where Sinatra recorded. It was a very good year, and basically every record from 1961 on, virtually. So Bill and I met Bill. Kind of a funny situation, actually. It was, and I think you read about that probably in that thing. But,
oh yeah.
Universal Audio was actually it started upstairs too.
Oh really? Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right. I remember reading that.
That's right. They built all the very first 1176s and UA 175s and the 610s. All this stuff was built upstairs, and then eventually they bought a plant out in the valley and started manufacturing out there. But what happened, how I got involved with Bill, was my friend Sonny Burke, who was Viceroy Reprise, invited me down to a Sinatra session. And as a little kid, I went down and I watched it go down, and watching Nelson Riddle and Frank record in the room. It was very interesting. I went to some Mancini sessions and stuff. And then I got a summer job there as a runner, doing the usual stuff.
Right.
And I didn't really meet Bill. I just met him, glimpsed him during that particular period of time. But later on, in my wheeling and dealing era, there was a package of equipment sitting out at the UREI plant, which is all the old stuff from United Western, which included Fairchild 670s and Altec speakers and all kinds of fun stuff, and the original tube console from Studio One. So they needed to clear the space. Bill was out of town. I said, well, how about I give you $6,000 for this entire lot of equipment? It was a 40-foot pile of stuff just stacked up, plus this beautiful old tube board that was the Studio One board. And I said, how about I give you $6,000? And the guy who was head of the plant said, sure, that's great. So I did. I bought the package. I didn't actually have $6,000 though. No. So I wrote a check, and I wrote a check, picked it up on a Friday, and on Monday I had sold enough stuff to cover the check. So that's kind of how that went down. So anyway, when Putnam got back in town, he was very stressed out because he had that console alone sold for more than I bought the whole package for.
Right.
And so he wanted to meet me. So I went and I met him, and we just sort of clicked because apart from being a musician's musician and a phenomenal studio designer and just an amazing guy, Bill was a very good businessman. And so Bill and I got into the business of buying out studios. We bought out RCA Studios in Hollywood. We bought out Wally Heider. We bought out International Automated Media. We probably bought out, 35 or 40 studios, over about a 6-year period. And so I would go in and I'd find the deal, I'd make the deal, and then we would sell off all the equipment, split the profits, and then I kept collecting all this amazing stuff. C12s, M50s, great Steinway pianos, EMTs, and so over a period of time, we built up a pretty amazing stash of amazing equipment. And then about that same period of time, I was also buying mics from Europe. And I think I bought, probably close to 1,500 tube mics from Europe, maybe even 2,000 tube mics from Europe.
Wow.
And I was buying them from the BBC, I was buying them from Oster, Underfunk, whatever. And they were just virtually throwing the stuff out, replacing it with lovely transistor microphones. And it was even clear to me, it's a funny deal, even when Western United Studios were operating, they were getting rid of stuff. And so some of the stuff they got rid of, I got. Like some of the 47s and stuff that the users they were getting rid of, I got all the stuff. So actually, I ended up with all the old mics. They didn't disappear. They stayed here because I brought them back.
You just brought them back in.
Right. So
That's,
they never got lost.
That's pretty awesome. It's an interesting story, though, of how you just amass the gear, because that's one thing we always wonder as we go into these studios. And we went to studio a guy who's my age who has a ton of just rack mount stuff, and he's got like a huge console. And I'm sitting there going, how did you put all this together? And he's like, well, I traded this guy and found this in a dumpster. And that's how I got most of my stuff.
Well, me too. I mean, it's like, obviously if you were trying to amass this stuff today, what it would cost to put it together is just unfathomable.
Right.
Very difficult to do. In the same respect, to build a place like this from scratch and try to get a return on your investment these days would be tough.
Oh, it's a different market.
It is. I mean, luckily for us, Ocean Way, we do the high-end clients who make a ton of money touring. So what's changed for us is that now a lot of the clients pay us directly. And so the labels, probably 50% of our business is label business and 50% is direct from the artist.
That's great.
So it's just how things change.
Of course. Industry changes. Well, let's move on.
Here's a funny picture. When we did that last Paul McCartney album, we had a rat die on the wall just before Paul came in, and it had a lovely sort of scent, shall we say? And so we had to dig the walls out to get this thing out of there, and so I got Paul a stuffed rat as a gift. Which I thought he took it very well.